Welcome to my weekly self-important Magic the Gathering show. This week doesn't have a theme. This is just kind of a pickup episode for a bunch of stuff that I had as like backup decks for the 32 week challenge. Although some of these didn't exist during their week, so these are just kind of stuff that I came up with. We're going to start at the top and we're going to work our way down. A lot of these are partner commanders, like this one. Some of these are silly things, like we have Oops Alchandra right there, that we might not see. I got the idea from a Mauled thing to see if I liked what I could come up with, and I don't think I liked what I came up with, because one of his viewers had an Alchandra's deck. I didn't really pay attention to what they put into it, but we'll get to mine when we get to it, and we'll see if I keep it. Some of these are the Legends Retold, like right here, Rasputin. Some of these I couldn't tell you what they are because I don't understand my own references sometimes. But we're going to start at the top with the colorless deck, because we have it in color order, and color order puts colorless first instead of colorless last. Something I find mildly interesting. So let's open this bad boy up. And we will see we just have the commander and the lands this time because it's colorless. So we got 15 wastes, Wasteland that destroys non-basic lands, Vesuva, which comes into play as the copy of a land on the battlefield, the Workshop that... Oh, I'm not familiar with this one. It adds colorless for each Urza land you control, only if you control 3 or more artifacts. And then we have Urza's Tower that adds for 1 colorless, but 3 colorless if you control the full set of Urza lands. Urza Saga, this is the one that can fetch your Soul Ring or something else. The Power Plant and the Mine are the rest of the Tron lands. Then we have the Factory, which isn't actually very good because it's 7 to create an assembly worker. Then we have the Cave that allows you to search your library for a land. But since it's an Urza type, we probably will never be doing that because we're going to want to have all of these Urza lands out. Then we have the Tyrite Sanctum to turn something into a god and to make a god indestructible. Strip Mine destroys any land. Shrine of the Forsaken God adds 2 colorless if we control 7 or more lands, but only to cast colorless spells. Reliquary Tower to give us no maximum hand size. Radiant Fountain, that'll gain us 2 life. I might actually trade that out for something that because I'm going to look for something. Muraganda Raceway, which taps for 2 colors if we ever get to max speed. The land that makes everybody draw a card. Lotus Field, where we have to sacrifice 2 lands, and this taps for 3. But the lands don't have to be untapped when you sacrifice them, unlike the other one. Guildless Commons, it taps for 2 colors, but we got to return a land to our hand. Every player discards or draws a card, then discards a card. Fomori Vault, it's like super scry and draw a card, sort of, but it doesn't actually draw you the card. That's very important because that's a very specific game action. Deserted Temple can untap a land. Darksteel Citadel, it's just an artifact land. Being an artifact may or may not be important. But we're going to go over here where you're going to go T land O C C. Oops, I put an L there instead of this. So we don't want Ancient Tomb, that's a game changer. There we go. The Ard Archway. Because we don't care about the Surveil. We just want that it taps for 2. And we're not going to Mishra's Workshop because I don't think we're going to go that heavy on artifacts. Let's go down here. What's funny is I said about I'd get rid of the Radiant Fountain, but I think I would just rather get rid of the Lotus Field since it doesn't add for colorless mana, which we may or may not specifically want. Let's finally meet our commander. This is just a mildly interesting card that I liked the first time I saw it from Assassin's Creed. The Capitoline Triad. I assume it's pronounced very Italian. And it's a 7/7 for 10. It's a God Artificer. That's a mildly interesting stat line as well. Those who came before. This spell costs 1 less for each historic card in your graveyard. Okay. Exile any number of historic cards from your graveyard with total mana value 30 or greater. You get an emblem with creatures you control have base power and toughness 9/9. Let's see what we can do with this. Let's put in our mana rocks. Soul Ring. Soul Limb. I was about to say I could take out like 5 of the less interesting ones, like Radiant Fountain, to put it in more basics, so I can search for them. And I also just thought of something I'd rather put in besides Vesuva, and not in addition to Vesuva. So we'll take out the Radiant Fountain, and we'll put oh, what is it? Thespian Stage. Because that's another, can copy another land so we can have more Urza stuff out. And I'm grouping them by base type instead of by tag right now. So, MV equals 2. T art minus T creature O add. We don't want Arcane Signet because we don't have a color identity. Cold Steel Heart is fine. Felwar Stone is fine. You know what? Liquid Metal Torque is fine. Normally I don't bother because this part's pointless. But this part might not be pointless. Making something into an artifact, who knows? Mind Stone. See, this says color but not type. That's important. Because if you have a land that says that it can produce 1 mana of any type, that means it can produce colorless mana. This cannot produce colorless mana. The Iron Crag and the Thought Vessel. So that puts us at 8 out of 12 pieces in ramp. Probably not going to get a whole lot better than that. Oh no, there's the there are the slightly better ones. Thran Turbine? Turb. No, that's the upkeep one. It's Thran something. Oh, it's Thran Dynamo. There we go. Because it's 4 for 3 when a lot of them are 4 for 2. But then we will also want less to cast. Not the ones that care about colors, of course. The Sword of Eden. Foundry Inspector, because we're probably going to have a lot of artifacts. Joy's Familiar, because our whole thing is going to be historic spells. I actually don't think there's anything else. I'm just kind of... I don't think we're going to need the Incubator or the Herald. Let's see. Players can't activate abilities of Planeswalkers. We draw an additional card. Spells we cast cost 1 less to cast. You know, I know it's 6, but that's definitely worth getting to. The thing is that we are going to want to get our own... we want a lot of high mana value historic stuff. And we also want to get our high mana historic stuff into the graveyard. I got a message really quick, so I'm just going to look. Okay, nope. Someone just commented on a image I shared about silly anime outfits. They can be very silly. But I do feel better on our ramp now, because if we go to categories, our ramp section is at 11. So now, the next thing I'm going to look up is destroy or exile. You may cast spells that have cycling from the graveyard. Don't care about that. Destroy non-wall creature receiving combat damage from target. That is too much. Reverse the game's turn order. They were not doing that. This can destroy artifacts. That's interesting. This destroys everything from effectively the worst set. I think there's 1 or 2 cards out of all of Apocalypse, or no, Homelands, I'm sorry, that people care about. And I think they're both blue. We'll throw in the Argentum Armor, because when it attacks, it could destroy it. When the creature attacks, it destroys permanent. We're of course going to need more creatures at some point. Don't need any of them. I had a deck back in the day that I actually had City of Traders in, or City of Shadows. Definitely did not get $50 for it when I sold my collection. This probably isn't even. Let's just do a memory lane. Sacrifice one of your creatures, but remove it from the game instead of placing it in your graveyard. Put a counter on City of Shadows. Like, so this is. This is. It says land, but you do not put this in your land slot because it does not. It does not produce mana right away. But this is definitely some slow aristocrat stuff. Add. I wonder if it says what type of counter in a. It's a storage counter. That makes sense. And then it adds colorless for each storage counter on this card. Like, so you'd want some like proliferate and untap a land, so you can do this more than once a turn, and maybe do some aristocracy stuff, so it matters when, or at least some counter token creature shenanigans. So you're not exiling anything important. Cityscape Leveler will go on the deck. I'm definitely thinking about Conjurer's Closet. But it depends on what else ends up in the deck, and if we have any, like a whole bunch of stuff that we want to blink or flicker or whatever. Let's see. Oh, the Extinguisher Battleship. Because at least when it comes in, it destroys a non-creature permanent, but that's still a lot of things. And then it's not much to make it a 10/10 flying trample. You only need 5. Oh, good old Felden's Cane. I bought so much Chronicles back in the day that every deck had a Felden's Cane. Just one, just in case. Exile this artifact, shuffle your graveyard near your library. Like, I don't think anyone plays this anymore. I'm glad they put it in Foundation, so that made me happy. I don't care if everyone thinks it's garbage. No, I have not. I have very little idea what tunes I'm humming when I start humming. Introduction to Annihilation, 5 mana to destroy non-land permanent. Controller draws a card, fine. We're in colorless, we don't have a whole lot of. It's sorcery speed too, we don't have a whole lot of options. May as well throw in Cauldron Complete as well. What does Kozilek's command do? I'm not. Oh, it's an X spell. I'm not going to do anything with Eldrazi. I was just kind of curious. Oh, Meteor Golem. Mech Titancore because it's funny. Mirror Shield because of hexproof. Mystic Forge, so we can cast artifact spells and colorless spells from the top of our deck. What's funny is that as much as I say that I like these old borders, when I see that the old border is default, I know I don't have to. I don't have to read the card. I can probably just skip right over it really easily. Now I have one of the many songs played in Tetris stuck in my head. I'm not going to say it out loud because I don't want to be too good at it. And like, oh, some of Bahamut can go in here. Oh, do we want all the swords of? Sword of None and Sense? You know what? I'm actually going to skip all of them. But it does remind me of other stuff that I do definitely want to put in this deck. I always forget that there's a K in Thought Knot Seer. Because it's a tangle of thoughts that it is seeing. We're just not doing anything with Ugin or Ulamog. Yeah, we're really hamstringing ourselves by not playing those good cards because I hate them. World Slayer would be just funny. Anyway, I don't think we added a whole lot. You can go into removal, though. I'm surprised Architect hasn't updated that yet. I don't know whose volunteer work it is to, Oh, there is an exile that I think I missed. It's, I think it's mana value 7. MV equals 7. Bane of Olga, blah, blah, blah. Huh. Oh, you know what? Let's Desecrate Reality. It's not an Eldrazi instant, so I don't have to care about that. But if we spend at least 3 colorless, we get a thing back from our own graveyard. That's neat. Scour from Existence. Exile target permanent. That's what I missed. Oh, and I also missed Ultima Weapon. Oh, and the Spine of Ishsa. It doesn't stay in our graveyard, but it destroys permanents. That's all that matters. Wondrous Crucible is neat, but I don't think we're going to do that. There's a card with Portal in its name. Portal to Phyrexia. When it enters, each opponent sacrifices 3 creatures. I'm interested to see where they put it. We are at 66. So they put it in Portal to Phyrexian removal. Good, because that's the thing that will happen, not the thing that'll maybe happen. So we have mostly decent ramp. We could do with some more. Still Like, there's not a whole lot of mass disruption for colorless, so I think we're doing pretty well here, even though it's all, like, really at the higher end. We definitely probably want a lot more ramp. We don't have a whole lot of stuff sacrificing itself, but we have a lot of stuff people would want to remove, I'll tell you that much. We definitely want a lot more creatures, because otherwise this is pointless. So let's go back to types. We're at 6 creatures, so we're definitely going to want more creatures. I think I avoided mana dorks earlier, but let's go add with that space. But actually put in the C for colorless mana. Oh, and minus T land. Ashnod's Altar is a good way to get rid of our creatures. Automated Artificer can give us 1 for artifact spells. Basalt Monolith. Did they put this on the Game Changers? No. Okay, so it's not good enough by itself. It's just a card to watch out for. Chromatic Orrery may give us 5 mana for a 7 mana investment, but it has so many other abilities that just don't matter. Like, we draw 0 cards, and spending mana of any color is completely pointless. It's also at the higher end again. There's Flowing Chalice. That's an investment, but I like that. Clan Ironworks specifically gets rid of artifacts. I'm not sure I want that for this. This can only cast artifacts, and we kind of have a mix. Milliken. I don't like milling, but in the current situation we are in, especially if we can get that forge out, we at least know what we're milling. Palladium Mirror. I kind of wish they had let this be good and let it work with the power stones that you get from the things that give power stones. Like, yeah, I make 1 billion power stones, but that can only be used for activating abilities and casting artifact spells. But this thing, oh, the Eternity Elevator. I mean, that's just a fun mini game to play. It is very tempting to put the tower worker, the mine worker, and the power plant worker But I think the Tower Worker is the only one that makes mana. The other two do two completely unrelated things. And then Worn Power Stone, even though it enters the battlefield tapped, it doesn't. 2 for 3 is better than 2 for 4. Now we're at 73. We're at 9 creatures. I definitely want a lot more creatures. I am going to hit up EDH Rec just out of curiosity. Are there any colorless enchantments? There's Ugin's Mastery, which I don't care. And then if the triggered ability of a colorless spell you control or another colorless permanent you control triggers, it triggers an additional time. Whenever you cast a colorless spell, copy it. You may choose new targets for the copy. I mean, may as well. And then we go down here to colorless planeswalkers. Oh, we did get a new one, and it's because we're not using any of these Ugins. They can go straight to heck. But I'm going to go... Oh, each player sacrifices all permanents they control that are one or more colors. Duh. Of course we want that. Each player chooses a color, then exile each permanent unless its controller... It's colorless, or it's the only... It's only the color its controller chose. Hold on. Each player chooses a color, then exile each permanent unless it's colorless, or it's only the color. Okay, so it gets rid of everything that's not colorless or monocolored. So we're going to throw that in. Okay, this doesn't do anything about color or colorless. We're not doing Calamity of the Triad. This is an extra turn. That's automatically against my own rules. Titan's Presence. As an additional cost to cast a spell, reveal a colorless creature card from your hand. Exile a target creature if its power is less than or equal to the revealed card's power. Huh. And then we'll do Eldrazi Confluence, even though it's not, because it's not an Eldrazi type spell, so that matters. But it has this thing where we can choose 3 and we can give something -9/-9. So that's super removal. I'm going to see... I don't know if... you know what? No, I just don't like the gamble of not having any good creatures in my hand when I want to cast Titan's Presence. So we're not going to do that. Then we go... Then we'll go to Artifact to see what else it wants. Oh yeah, Forsaken Monument. So we can get that. I can see where we'd want Expedition Map, but I'm just going to choose to be random. Phyrexian Triniform, because when it dies we get some stuff, maybe. Oh, Palantarian Orthanc, because we'll because we do want to mill a little bit. Take this out. Oh, Commander's Plate is actually really good in here. Protection from all 5 colors. I saw some other stuff that I did want, but I definitely want to go to here first. I do not want any of these Eldrazi. Just... We're not doing anything with Mir. I think, yes, I do want Ultima in here, though. Because it also ramps. We can also mess with other people's lands very slowly. You know, Ancient Stone Idol. Mannequin. Oh, there was some specific stuff I was going to look for, but I already forgot. Something gave me an idea, and I forgot my idea. What are we at for creatures? We are at 12 creatures. We are 100% on looking for creatures. Oh, maybe we want to discard cards too. That requires you to crew. Oh, Argentum Masticore is actually kind of funny for this. Oh, Havishkar Raceway, but we have to get, which also costs 3. But Argentum Masticore, first strike, protection from multicolored, fine. It's a 5/5 for 5, cool. At the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice Argentum Masticore unless you discard a card. When you discard a card this way, destroy target non-land permanent an opponent controls with mana value less than or equal to the mana value of the discarded card. Considering we want to discard big things, that's cool. And also, Containment Construct. Whenever you discard a card, you may exile that card from your graveyard. If you do, you may play that card this turn. Get a little bit of that back. The non-game changer Diamond. The Diamond Lion. Where his eye comes from. Discard our whole land to add 3 mana of 1 color. Oh, the card we already have on a thing. That's cool. Costs 2. Fodder Toster. It is a free discard. And it's player or planeswalker because it's new enough for that distinction. That's mildly interesting. Discard a card to make something unblockable. And we can potentially draw cards with it. You know what? Matt Zalanti, right? Matt Zalanti, the Great Door. Draw a card, discard a card. I don't want to do anything with vehicles. If Murderer's Axe was better, this would be cool. Oh, Razormane Masticore. Sacrifice unless you discard a card. And then also it just lightning bolts creatures. That's neat. Just moving around my table again. Moving around myself. It's important to do that every now and then. Just saying. Discard a card to make food. I don't think that's important at all. Okay, that's as far down that as I wanted, and we are at 89. We have 15 creatures. I do want more. We're going back here. We're going back to categories really quick. We do have 20 things that count as ramp, for better or for worse. I don't know if we have enough for Mech Titan Core, but I'm fine with that. Oh, and you are also ramp, so we have 21 pieces of ramp. So now we're just going to look at stuff that are mana value greater than or equal to 10. Because we just have to get 3 of these things in our discard pile, which is why these 2 Colossi don't go in the deck, because they don't go in the discard pile. We could Draco. He's base 16. Sorry about that, got distracted by something. Metalwork Colossus. You know what? Yeah, that's fine. Microsynth Golem, because it also has affinity. So then we change this to equals 9. Oh, the Bygone Colossus has Warp 3. That is interesting because we can have it, because we do have a couple of things that we could station, and that's cool. It's funny that we don't want our stuff to have indestructible. Oh, good old Rampage 4. For each creature assigned to block it beyond the first, it gets +4/+4 until end of turn. I mildly miss Rampage. Now mana value 8. I'm just kind of going through things very slowly to see if... oh, Maelstrom Colossus with Cascade. Sure. Moderate. Oh, Platinum Imperion. People definitely would want to destroy that. We're not going to have modified creatures. Oh, good old Suchi Cave Guard that, as long as it dies on our turn, we can cast stuff. Okay, 5 more. 5 more things. We're at 21 creatures. We do want more creatures because this affects creatures. I don't know if there's a creature that gives all of our creatures trample. That's another problem. 7. Whoops, that's not the window I wanted to be in. Accomplished Automaton. Akros Memorial is not a creature. But given all of our stuff, flying, first strike, vigilance, trample, haste, and protection from black and red. Actually, that's funny, so... yeah, let's do the Cyberming Squadron. I don't know how many non-legendary artifact creatures we have. Oh, the Iron Giant has Vigilance, Reach, and Trample. One, two, three. This creates 3 creatures, but they're all absolutely garbage and is only worth casting after we get our emblem. Oh, Pinnacle Kill Ship deals 10 damage to a creature. You can't lose the game, your opponents can't win the game. People are definitely going to want that to go away. The one Eldrazi I would make an exception for. Right here. First strike, vigilance, menace, trample, reach, lifelink, ward, 7 life. Notice none of those things are take extra turn or annihilator. Sire of 7 Deaths gets a pass, but I don't think I'm going to put it into this deck. That put us, nope, that put us exactly at 100, so we have 24 creatures, 25 including our commander. 1 enchantment, 3 instants, 3 sorceries, and 31 artifacts. We're going to call this colorless garbage. When everything 99 dot dot dot. Change it from private to unlisted, even though it's going to be like well over a month before this comes out. And then I'm actually going to do one more thing. Do this. We're going to optimize the printings because I don't care what edition it is. I didn't see how much our estimated cost was before, but this is now the cheapest this deck is $564.16 for what it's worth. You know what? Let's go into the playtester. So that's one land. That's not a land. So we are going to mulligan. And we got 3 lands this time. So keep this. Draw a card for a turn. We have absolutely nothing we can play. Whoops. Go back into our hand. What are you? Oh, you're the Great Door. Yeah, we do kind of want to get you in play. So we're going to play our Darksteel Citadel so no one can mana mess with us. Turn 2. We didn't get a turn 2 play, which is funny because we know we have them. So we're going to play the Factory. That's the one that creates creature tokens. Actually, you know what? Later in the game, this might, I mean, even though it costs 7, at least it'll make 9 9s from that. So turn 3, we get this, which we don't have 7 lands in play, but that's fine. But now we can do this, tap it, because that doesn't cost anything, right? Right. So we draw a card, and we discard Excalibur. Next turn, 4th land. We put out Joyra's Familiar. This is some bracket 1 nonsense, by the way. I should probably label it that. And then we draw a card. Oh, you know what? Cityscape Leveler. Look at that. That already put us at 20. And then Joyra's Familiar is like a 3/3 at least, right? No, it's a 2/2. Okay, so next turn we play another land, and now all of our historic stuff, which is everything but our instants and sorceries, because I don't remember what our I don't remember if the enchantment we have is legendary or not. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're gonna pull this out because it makes everything else cost. All of our other spells cost 1 less. So this is gonna cost 2, and that's gonna cost 2 next turn. We're gonna draw a card, and I think I'm actually just gonna discard the Solemn, because I do need to keep, because I have like 3 lands in hand. I'm fine. So now our next turn we draw 2 cards. Because of this. We've probably taken a lot of damage unless people are ignoring us. So we can do this. And then we'll Mystic Forge. And we're just going to reveal the top card. So that cost us 2. That cost us 2. So we still have 4. This will cost us 1. We don't really need to discard more cards, but bing. Oh, that's not even a creature. And then reveal. Okay, so now we'll do this to draw and then discard the Platinum Empyrean. Ding. So we used 3 mana. Reveal. So that's 5, but we only have 3 left, and we don't have anything else to do with it. Yep, so we draw, and we draw again on our next turn. Good lord. We will play another land. So 4, 5, 6, 7. Next turn we can play our commander. We haven't missed the land drop, so we are on turn 7. This is some bracket 1 nonsense. What are you? Whenever you discard a card, you may exile that card from the graveyard. If you do, you may play that card this turn. And that's free. That's just plain free, assuming no one's messed with our Second Sun and our Joyrus Familiar. I know reveal is not technically what I need to be doing. Oh, it's a kindred enchantment, so it is. This is not legendary. So this is only -1. So this would cost us 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think I've played my land for the turn, because I'm going to be honest, I haven't. Oh, but I can play Bahamut and destroy a thing. I've kind of lost track of where I am. So, next turn. Whoops. +1 lore counter. We will play this. And I'm fairly certain I have at least 30. So we will play this because it's a historic, because it costs 10 and it's -2. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So then I also drew none of my ramp. So this isn't like our best one. So exiling number of historic cards from your grave. Oh, they have to be historic. Okay, so that's good to know. What's funny is that this thing only gets 2 more power and toughness, but Joyrug, and this thing doesn't get any more power and toughness, but whoops. I just want to check the timing on this. Oh, this thing I could have cast earlier because I had a bunch of historic cards in my graveyard. See, this is what happens when you don't read your card. But we are going to use this ability. Because we have... Yeah, we're 2 over just with the 4 things. And this was also would have reduced it by 4. So 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. We would have only had to pay 4 for it. Well, I messed up, but uh, I don't hate this for what it's worth. How do we leave? No. There's next turn. Game menu. Back to deck. That was neat. That was a neat little run through. I don't hate this deck. It's silly and not good, but that's because I refuse to use certain cards. I refuse to use Eldrazi, and I refuse to use Ugin. So that's just gonna constantly put me in bracket 1. Save changes. We're just gonna move that up to, whoops. Move that to its parent. Come on. There we, did I move 2 things? Or no, that just, hiya. Okay, so this next one is based on a joke. And I think all of the cards are already in it. Jimmy's Lament is named after Jimmy Wong of the Command Zone. And the worst bracket 4 deck you've ever seen, mono white stacks with an abundance of board wipes. Admittedly, I'd lean more into board wipes than stacks. Do I need all these prison effects when I have all these nukes? That's a good question, fun series of questions I asked myself. But in a very, 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 very early episode of the Command Zone, they were talking about, like, what if villains played Magic the Gathering? And, no, the episode was about who they would, like, historical figures they'd want to play Magic the Gathering with. And then at the very end of the episode, they were talking about what if bad people from history played Magic the Gathering. And Jimmy said in different words, what if Bad Mustache Man had a deck? It'd probably be mono white stacks with an abundance of board wipes, something to that effect. So that's where I was like, oh, this would be funny. So let's go through it. Is there anything I need to do with the lands? Oh, I went up to 38 lands. Look at that. We have a terrain generator to put lands into play if we get them into our hand, which we probably will. Like if there's a enchantment. Oh, I'm gonna take this. Oh, that's right. It's bracket 4 because we have one of our sorceries. Where are our sorceries? Oh, there are sorceries. One of our sorceries is Armageddon. So we're automatically bracket 4. And then we also have Fall of the Thran, just to follow that up. So let's start at the top. But let me also do this really quick. Optimize the printings. But I'm also going to double check and not trade out my basic planes. Because it's Fallout. Oh, there's land tax. Okay. Yeah, I'm using the Fallout basic planes because that amuses me greatly, since, you know, board wipes or nukes. So let's start with Heliod the Sun-Crowned. 2 and a white for a 5/5 legendary enchantment creature god. Indestructible. As long as your devotion to white is less than 5, Heliod isn't a creature. Whenever you gain life, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature or enchantment you control. And then you can pay 1 and a white to another target creature, gains lifelink until end of turn. Cool. Then we have, you can pry it from a Cold Dead Hands, the Soul Ring. Arcane Signet. Interesting that this is the one that it chose for least expensive. Cold Steel Heart. Endless Atlas, because we're in a monocolor deck, so we want to... Oh, Endless Atlas could have made it into our colorless deck, because we did have a bunch of wastes. But I did prefer that we also discarded cards, so there's that too. That's definitely something to think about, though, that I forgot about. Marble Diamond, Mind Stone, Pearl Medallion. Archaeomancer's Map. When this artifact enters, search your library for up to 2 basic playing cards, reveal them, put into your hand, and shuffle. When a land enters, when a land an opponent controls enters, if that player controls more lands than you can put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. Then, Caduceus, Staff of Hermes. I don't even, wow. Okay. So, equipped creature has lifelink, okay. As long as you have 30 or more life, equipped creature gets +5/+5 and has indestructible. Oh, okay. And prevent all damage that will be dealt to this creature. Oh, that's funny. Because you'd think with indestructible you wouldn't need that second ability, but the Staff of Hermes is aware of the other cards that remove indestructible. That's funny. Though this does require us to have 30 or more life, so we'll see how that goes. Nevinral's Disc destroys most things. Artifacts, creatures, and enchantments. It doesn't touch battles, planeswalkers. Is there any other new permanent type? No, there's just a bunch of subtypes. Yeah, so it doesn't touch battles or planeswalkers, but it touches everything else. Prize Shield. All damage that would be dealt to you is dealt to an equipped creature instead. Oh, actually, I just realized the other thing for this is that it turns off opposing lifelink. That's interesting. World Slayer. Equipped creature deals combat damage to all player. Destroy all permanents other than World Slayer. Walking Ballista. This is for the infinite combo since we're already in bracket 4. You know, infinite combo with our commander. And also, I like that this version is the version that we get. Esper Sentinel, just for the good old Ristic Buddy. Kytheon, Hero of Akros. At the beginning of combat, at the end of combat, if Kytheon, Hero of Akros, and at least 2 other creatures attacked this combat, exile Kytheon and return him to the battlefield transformed under his owner's control. And you can give him temporary indestructible. He transforms into Gideon, Battleforged. Who starts with 3 loyalty and says +2 up to 1 target creature an opponent controls attacks Gideon, Battleforged during its controller's next turn if able. Okay. Nice little taunt effect. And then +1 until end of turn. Target creature gains indestructible. Untap that creature. And then until end of turn, Gideon Battleforged becomes a 4/4 human soldier creature with indestructible. That's still a planeswalker. Prevent all damage that would be dealt to him this turn. Then we have the Onake Oathkeeper. Creatures can't attack planeswalkers you control unless their controller pays 1 for each creature they control that's attacking a planeswalker you control. And then we can pay 6 to exile him from the graveyard to return the planeswalker card from our graveyard to the battlefield. Strict Proctor. Flying. Whenever a permanent entering the battlefield causes a triggered ability to trigger, counter that ability unless its controller plays 2. Cathar's Companion. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, this gets indestructible until end of turn. You know, it's indestructible during board wipes. That is wild. During most board wipes, right? Redan, God of the Worthy. On the front side, Flying Vigilance. Snow lands your opponent's control enter the battlefield tap. Non-creature spells your opponent's cast with converted mana cost 4 or greater cost 2 more to cast. Or, if a source an opponent controls would deal damage to you, prevent 1 of that damage, and whenever another permanent you control becomes a target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, counter it unless they pay 1. Archon of Absolution. Protection from white. May or may not be important. Creatures can't attack you or a planeswalker you control unless their controller pays 1 for each of those creatures. Bayard. Steward of Argiv. Creatures can't take you or a planeswalker you control unless they pay 1 for each of those creatures, and it has Vigilance. Giggling Skitterspike. It has Indestructible. And whenever it attacks, blocks, or becomes the target of a spell, it deals damage equal to its power to each opponent, and it can get 5+1/+1 counters on it. Heliod, God of the Sun. Indestructible. You need to have Devotion to White of 5 for it to be a creature. Gives all of our other creatures Vigilance. And then it can also create Cleric enchantment creature tokens. Magus of the Disc, Nivernal's Disc, but as a creature. Oketra the True, double strike and indestructible. Can't attack or block unless you control 3 other creatures, and then you can make some creatures. Windborn Muse, creatures can't attack you unless they're controlled by 2 for each creature they control that's attacking you. Creepy Doll, it's indestructible. Whenever it deals combat damage to a creature, flip a coin. If you win, destroy that creature. Good old Stuffy Doll, also indestructible. And whenever damage is dealt to it, it deals that much damage to the player that you chose when this thing came into play. Triskelion. This is also a infinite combo with our commander. Konda, Lord of Aganjo. Vigilance, Bushido 5, and he's indestructible. Bushido is, when it blocks or becomes blocked, it gets +5/+5 until end of turn. I believe that's improved Rampage. No, it's not, because it's not per creature, it's just if at all. Seraph of the Suns, it has indestructible and flying. Avacyn, Angel of Hope, has indestructible and gives all of our other permanents indestructible. Very important to get into play, I imagine. Colossus of Akros, really? Oh, it has indestructible, it has Defender, it's a 10/10, but you can also make it a 20/20. And when it becomes monstrous, it can attack as though it didn't have Defender and also gets Trample, so for a total of 18. But you get a 10/10 blocker that can't block flying. Then Zitalpa. This is like a pet card for me. I love sliding Zitalpa into stuff. It has flying, double strike, vigilance, trample, and importantly indestructible. You might have seen a theme with my creatures. They either were Pelifort or some sort of tax or indestructible. Then we have the Darksteel Colossus and the Blightsteel Colossus because they're both indestructible. Then Authority of the Consuls because your creatures do not get to come into play untapped, and I get to gain life. And us gaining life is good for Heliod. Land tax. At the beginning of your upkeep, an opponent controls more lands than you may search your library for up to 3 basic playing cards. Reveal them, put into your hand, and shuffle. Blind Obedience. Artifacts and creatures your opponent control come into play tapped. And then it says Extort, which means whenever we cast a spell, we can pay a white or a black, in our case it's only going to be white, to drain an opponent for 1. I think it's only 1 opponent. Ghostly Prison, stuff can't attack us unless they pay 2 for each creature. Monologue tax, we get a treasure token whenever a player, or whenever an opponent casts their second spell each turn. Pariah, all damage that would be dealt to us is dealt to enchanted creature instead. Smothering Tithe. I'm tempted to take this out for Trouble in Pairs, just so we don't have any specific game changers in the deck, because that would be funny. Fall of the Thran, destroy all lands. Then each player, then for 2 turns after that, each player gets 2 lands from their graveyard to the battlefield. Settle the Wreckage to get to mess up one person's attack against us or someone else if we're trying to save someone. Emeria the Sky Rune, since we're playing in mono white. At the beginning of our upkeep, if we control 7 or more planes, we may return target creature card from our graveyard to the battlefield. You know, just in case one of our non-indestructible things went down. Lotus Field. Honestly, we can take... Oh no, the Lotus Field gets allows us to do more catch-up ramp. That's right. I don't know if we have a bounce land to throw Lotus Field back in our hand. It would only be Karoo or one of the colorless ones. But the thing I don't like about the Karoo is that it has to be an untapped land, so you can't even tap it for mana. Mikokuro, Center of the Sea. Everybody draws a card. Minas Tirith. We can use this like it's a permanent clue token if we attack with 3 things. Mistveil Plains put stuff on the bottom of our library as long as we control 2 or more white permanents. Myriad Landscape to get more lands out of our deck. Nykthos, so we can get mana based on our devotion. The 2 types of planes. Terrain Generator, so to help us get our planes from our land tax into play. All of the Gideons that turn into people. That was all that was important about that section, is that all those Gideons turn into indestructible creatures. We can do that on our turn. Destroy all creatures with toughness 4 or greater. Destroy all tapped creatures or destroy all untapped creatures. Destroy all creatures with power 3 or greater. Create a 2 food token for each creature we control. Destroy all lands. Destroy all creatures. Destroy all creatures. Destroy all creatures. Destroy all creatures. We gain 1 life for each creature destroyed this way. Destroy all non-land permanents. Destroy all non-white creatures. Destroy all creatures, but it costs 1 less for each creature on the battlefield. Equip creature as Myriad. Not... I guess because I have some really neat creatures, I'd kind of want them... Funny thing is that I don't think I have a lot of creatures with great ETBs. I just thought that was cool if we get any of our big things out. Scythe of the Wretched. Whenever a creature dealt damage by a equipped creature is graveyard. Oh, we steal creatures that we kill. Okay, that's fine. Invasion of Theros. Let's rotate. When it enters the battlefield, search our library for an aura, god, or demigod card. Reveal and put in our hand, then shuffle. We do have 1 god and 1 aura in our deck that I saw. So this can search for one of 2 things. And then Ephara, Ever Sheltering, has lifelink and indestructible as long as you control at least 3 other enchantments, which is possible. Whenever another enchantment enters the battlefield you control, you draw a card. Non-legendary artifact creatures you control have Myriad. Oh, and like a lot of this is just, oh, did I get my, did I get one of the Colossi into play? That's all that's for. Legion's Loyalty. Creatures in control have Myriad. That's all of the creatures. Okay, So we have 8 enchantments. There was stuff I was thinking. Like, I generally go down to 37 lands. But this is probably fine to stay at 38. I'm going to take out Smothering Tithe and put in Trouble in pairs because that stops extra turns. And then it also allows us to draw cards. Oh, all the Myriad stuff was, and all of that stuff was in the maybe board. That explains a lot. I forgot I had a maybe board. I'm going to leave the maybe board up. And I'm going to double check, even though I just only replaced one card. I'm going to make sure that... Nope. We don't need to change those. So that's this deck. I'm glad I finally got to show it off, because this deck is mildly amusing to me. Mostly because I'm like, bad mustache, man. Yeah. See, it's all about fascism and mass and killing all the creatures. Makes sense to me. The funny thing is that I could probably put in other stuff like Heliod's Intervention to actually take care of other enchantments and stuff, but eh. Anyway, let's check the time. We're at 1:22. Okay, so we can do another one, which is good because I believe, yeah, we have one more. We have one more mono white one, and this one is definitely... Here we go. This one's bracket 1 because it's silly. So it's Oops, all Gideon. And this one's kind of dumb. So we have Kytheon as the commander, hero of Akros. If you attack with him and at least 2 other things, it gets to turn into Gideon, who can taunt a thing, make thing indestructible, or become a creature. Then we have, oh, really quick. Only 19 cards. There's probably it's been a while since I put this deck together, so it's there. I'm probably gonna have to remove things. Oh no, I don't, because of my very strict oh, I did. That's in here. I have updated it very recently. I can tell because it's a soldier military program. Anyway, so yeah, so the Kytheon, then Soul Ring, Arcane Signet, Cold Steel Heart, Endless Atlas, Marble Diamond, Mind Stone, Pearl Medallion, Iron Crag, Thought Vessel, Archaeomancer's Map, Oketra's Monument this time. That's an addition. That's new. White creature spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. Whenever you cast a creature spell, you get a warrior, which is mildly annoying because you'll see. Then we have Esper Sentinel. It's a human soldier. Whenever an opponent casts their first non-creature spell each turn, we get to draw a card unless they pay X, where X is Esper Sentinel's power, which is only 1, so it's not much. When it's their first non-creature each turn. Then we have Gideon's Lawkeeper that can tap down a creature. Ballyrush Banneret. It's a Kytheon. That's funnier than it should be. Oh no, it's a Kythkin. when our commander's Kytheon. Kytheon and soldier spells you cast cost 1 less. Oketra's Avenger. Excuse me. You may exert her as she attacks. If you do, prevent all combat damage that will be dealt to it this turn. So you can attack with it once every other turn, but don't have to worry about being taken out by a 1/1. Oketra's arrow is my spear, and her love is my shield. Neat. But love is exhausting, apparently. Well, it's an exertion, because exhaust is a different Magic the Gathering ability. Valiant Veteran. Other soldiers get +1/+1, and then you can exile it from your graveyard to put a +1/+1 counter on each soldier you control. Veteran Armorsmith. Other soldiers you control get +0/+1. I'm glad they stopped doing that nonsense. Cosmogrand Zenith. This is from Edge of Eternity, so you know I updated this deck recently. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, choose one. You either get 2 human soldiers or a +1/+1 counter on all of your creatures. Field Marshal. Other soldiers have +1/+1 and first strike. Neat. Gideon's Avenger. Whenever a creature opponent controls becomes tapped, this thing gets a +1/+1 counter. There. My brain did not want to read that. Veteran Swordsmith. It's like the other one, but it's +1/+0 instead of +0/+1. So we have the Armorsmith and the Weaponsmith. Wojak Investigator. At the beginning of your upkeep, you investigate for each opponent who has more cards in hand than you. Daru Warchief. Soldier spells cost 1 less to cast, and soldiers get +1/+2. Gideon's Company. Whenever you gain life, which is not happening a whole lot in this deck, but it's not impossible. This thing gets 2 +1/+1 counters, and then you can also pay 4 to put a loyalty counter on a Gideon Planeswalker, which is neat. Keeper of the Accord. At the beginning of each opponent's end step, if that player controls more creatures than you, we get a soldier. And then at the beginning of each opponent's end step, if they have more lands, we can search our library for basic planes and put into the battlefield tapped. Neat. Kytheon's Irregulars. Kytheon and his Irregulars worked outside the law to bring justice to the street of Akros. It has Renown 1, so if it deals the combat damage to a player, it gets a +1/+1 counter and becomes Renowned. And also we can pay 2 white to tap a creature. Miriel, Shield of Argiv. During your turn, your opponents can't cast spells or activate abilities of artifacts, creatures, or enchantments. Whenever she attacks, we get X colorless soldier artifact creature tokens, where X is the number of soldiers we control. Oketra the True. Double strike and indestructible. Can't attack unless you have at least 3 other creatures, and then you can pay a whole lot of mana to create a warrior. Rock's Pike Master has first strike and gives all of our soldiers first strike. God Eternal Oketra, double strike. Whenever you cast a creature spell, you get a zombie warrior. That is a 4/4 with vigilance. And if it dies or goes into exile from the battlefield, which they can just say leaves. Nowadays, this would just say leaves. I feel. Well, no, leaves also includes going to hand, so never mind. You may put it into the library, 3rd from the top. Neat. Oketra's Attendant. Flying, cycling 2, so you can pay 2 to discard it to draw a card. And also Embalm. If it's in your graveyard, you can exile it to create a token that's a copy of it, except it's a white zombie bird soldier with no mana cost. And Embalm is a sorcery. Rescue Retriever. When it enters, you get a +1/+1 counter on each other soldier and prevent all damage period that will be dealt to other attacking soldiers you control. So that is a good dog. Reverent Hoplite. It's a soldier that makes soldiers equal to your devotion to white when it enters. It enters, right? Yes. Captain of the Watch. Other soldiers have +1/+1 in vigilance. And when it enters, you get 3 soldiers. Then land tax, beginning of your upkeep. If opponent controls more lands than you, you get 3 basic lands into your hand. Ghostly Prison, can't attack you unless they pay 2 for each creature. You get a treasure whenever an opponent casts their second spell a turn. Oath of Gideon. When Oath of Gideon enters the battlefield, create 2 core allied creature tokens, which is incredibly not useful. But each planeswalker you control enters the battlefield with an additional loyalty counter on it. Well, that's fine. Soldier Military Program. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you can either get a soldier or a +1/+1 counter on up to 2 soldiers. Thorough Investigation. Whenever we attack, we investigate. Whenever we sacrifice a clue, we venture into the dungeon. Gideon's Intervention. As Gideon's Intervention enters the battlefield, choose a card to name. Your opponents can't cast spells with the chosen name. Prevent all damage that would be dealt to you and permanents you control by sources with the chosen name. That's actually really neat. As long as you have time to cast it. Search the premises. Whenever a creature attacks you or a planeswalker you control, you investigate. Trouble in Pairs. Opponents skip their extra turns. And also we draw cards when they play their draws their second card, casts their second spell, or if they attack us with 2 or more creatures. Gideon's Resolve. When Gideon's Resolve enters the battlefield, you may search your library and or graveyard for a specific Gideon planeswalker and put into your hand. And then creatures we control get +1/+1. Gideon's Defeat. Exile target white creature that's attacking or blocking. If it was a Gideon's planeswalker, we gain 5 life. Like this is a garbage card that whose ceiling is basically gaining us 5 life for exiling one of our own Gideon planeswalkers into exile. Gideon's Sacrifice. Choose a creature or planeswalker you control. All damage that would be dealt this turn to you and permanents you control are dealt to the chosen permanent instead. Then we have just some normal cards again. Path to Exile, Swords to Plowshares. Nope, Gideon's Reproach. Gotta read this. Gideon's Reproach deals 4 damage to target attacking or blocking creature. Gideon's Triumph. Man, this card makes me hate his face so much. Target opponent sacrifices a creature that attacked or blocked this turn. If you control a Gideon's planeswalker, that player sacrifices 2 of those creatures instead. In Oketra's Name. Zombies you control get +2/+1 until end of turn. Other creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. Gideon's Phalanx. Put 4 knights with vigilance into play. They're 2/2s. If you have 2 or more instants or sorcery cards in your graveyard, creatures you control gain indestructible until end of turn. Then we have the Mare of the Sky Ruin, Mikokoro, Center of the Sea, Minas Tirith, Mistveil Plains, Nykthos, Plains, and Terrain Generator. I think that's all this. Oh, 3 Tree City, since this is a Soldier Typal. It didn't go into Typal week because it or month or however long I'm doing that for, because it's Gideon. Now we have Gideon Blackblade. I'll actually read them now. See, I knew this was coming up. That's why I didn't bother with it in the previous deck, because I'm like, I'm just going to go through it in the Gideon deck. So, for 1 white, we have a 4 loyalty Gideon Planeswalker that, as long as it's our turn, Gideon Blackblade is a 4/4 human soldier creature with indestructible that's still Planeswalker, and then prevent all damage that would be dealt to him during our turn. Up to 1 other target creature we control gains our choice of Vigilance, Lifelink, or Indestructible until end of turn. And then for 6, we get to exile target non-land permanent. Man, this really is a deck that I'd kind of want the Aether Spark for. I say, but that doesn't put loyalty counters on Planeswalkers. Never mind. Gideon of the Trials. Until your next turn, prevent all damage target permanent would deal. And then it can turn into a 4/4 indestructible planeswalker thing. And then we get an emblem with, as long as you control a Gideon's planeswalker, you can't lose the game and your opponents can't win the game. That's like the first thing you want to do, because we have heck of Gideons. Gideon, ally of Zendikar. He turns into a 5/5 human soldier, ally this time, with indestructible and all that other stuff. And then we can get a 2/2 knight ally that does not have vigilance, and then an emblem with creatures you control get +1/+1. Gideon, champion of justice. Put a loyalty counter on Gideon, champion of justice for each creature target opponent controls. Goodness gracious. When we get lower, that one makes more sense. And then the middle is that he turns into a... Oh, his power and toughness are equal to his loyalty, but he still has all the other stuff where he's indestructible and we prevent all damage. And then -15, you exile all other permanents. Goodness gracious. It's like, I'm gonna have this stupid thing, or not, honestly, because you need 16 for it to still have a 1/1 Gideon. Gideon Jura, during target opponent's next turn, creatures that opponent, so that's a mass taunt, then destroys a tapped creature, and then he can become a 6/6. Gideon, Martial Paragon. Untap all creatures you control. Those creatures get +1/+1 until end of turn. Neat. So, like, if we actually had anything that had tap abilities. Or, after we attack and we don't care about the +1/+1 until end of turn, we can just do it to give pseudo-vigilance to our entire board. And then he turns into a 5/5. Or, for -10, creatures you control get +2/+0 of turn. Tap all creatures your opponents control. Okay, that finishes things off. Gideon, the Oathsworn. Whenever you attack with 2 or more non-Gideon creatures, put a +1/+1 counter on each of those creatures. Okay. Until end of turn, Gideon the Oathsworn becomes a 5/5 white soldier creature. That's a 5/5, right? And then exile Gideon and each creature your opponents control. And then, now we're on to sorceries. Alright, because it would be Planeswalker and sorceries. Kytheon's Tactics. Creatures we control get +2/+1 till end of turn. And then if we have Spell Mastery, which is 2 or more instants and or sorceries in our graveyard, they also gain Vigilance until end of turn. Oketra's Last Mercy. Your life total becomes equal to your starting life total. Lands you control don't untap during your next untap step. Reset our life. Gideon's Battlecry. Put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. You may search your library for a specific Gideon and put it into your hand. And that brings us back to the top. If there was anything I was going to take out, I'm not sure. Because if we go to actual my tags, we have the army, the pitiful draw section, Gideon, Gideon's crew, Gideon's events, Kytheon's stuff, pay your taxes, ramp, which we only have 8 pieces of, 2 pieces of removal. Both of them are fit, because Path to Exile and Swords to Plowshares to get people to stop fighting. Then we have the Land Grab, and then we have Oketra, because Gideon liked Oketra. If I was going to remove stuff, I'd honestly probably remove maybe the Pay Your Taxes section, because we could send the sword that angel gives to Elspeth back in time to put it into this deck. To give our Gideons give one of our Gideons +1/+1 for each loyalty counter on them. Hold on, my back itches. And if I wasn't so stuck to my theme, I'd put in Mangar the Diplomat. Whoo. So, you know what? Let's remove monologue tax. But let's keep in the ghost prison because that also kind of feels like Gideon's. That feels Gideon. Luxior, Giada's gift. There we go. What's funny is that that might not be good because they won't be indestructible on not our turn. But they will be bigger on our turn. Yeah, okay, so it might not be good, but it's interesting. Definitely wouldn't call it protection. I'm also tempted to look for something else to take out for... Oh, what was I going to put in? Oh, Settle the Wreckage. Because that's another card that I like to put in decks. But... I think I am going to be fine with this. And yeah, that's going to be fine. So we only did 3 decks today, but that's because I did a lot of looking through for the colorless one. I'm also looking at what I have here. Like blue is going to get its own episode probably. I don't know if these 2 black decks have enough, but mono red. Oh, you know what? Black and green can get a day. Blue gets a day. And then red gets a day. And seeing this page, you'll know when, what order I did these in if I end up releasing them in a different order. See you then.